Yeah, Beck. It's me, Ian, and I'm here now to give you a review of Suspiria from 1977. Now, 10 years ago, if you'd have said to me, "Whoa, what's your favourite horror films?" Now, I would have been going, oh, Universal films at 30s, Hammer films, Rosemary's Baby, Exorcist, Omen, Wes Craven films, um, John Carpenter, Halloween, and all that kind of stuff. But, I wouldn't have mentioned this film at all. I wouldn't really have mentioned any Italian horror films because I didn't know about them. And I think this, often in the mainstream, is probably not known about until more recent times. And now, if you're into horror, you do know about this film. That's how things have changed, and I learned about it. And I mean, as soon as I saw this film, I thought, wow. I mean, what? I just go watch it again. It's one of those films, this times when I get so excited. I thought, what have I been doing? Why haven't I seen this film? I mean, it's just such a great film. It's so good. What can I say? I'd not even, contemplated that it would be so mind-blowing to me. It really is. Argento, I learned about him, of course, and that he being the director and writer as well. He was involved in the writing of this. It all come from his ideas. And also, I mean, this is a part of a trilogy. We've got from 1980, following Inferno, which I think is pretty good as well. And then it's after that is quite a gap actually. 2007, The Mother of Tears. Now it's interesting that this trilogy is not really talked about as much because this again dominates. It's such a good film that's it. This is what you talk about. So this whole thing is quite amazing. It is. When I put this in, you see straight away the one thing, and that is the colours. And I saw it before I even saw it on this. On the 4K, the colours absolutely pop. But the colours are so... The reds, for instance, they show up so much, the primary colours. And apparently, he was trying to recreate the cinematography of Snow White of the Seven Dwarfs, the colour from that. And now I can see it. Because actually, when you watch the film as well, there is almost like the way it looks. It's like a fairy tale elements to it. It is. And that adds to sort of the nightmare as well. There's a fairy tale kind of nightmare in it. And the basic story is basically that the witches control this dance academy and have been there for many years, and all is not what it seems, and that is so true, as our heroine discovers, if you want to call her that. Susan Banyan comes from America to Germany to this dance school. She's played by Jessica Harper, who the director had seen in a previous De Palma film. And he decided he wanted her, and he got her. What can I say? When the film starts, it's like it has that straight away, that horror feel to it, because it's throwing it down with rain. It's thundering, lightning. There's a big storm there. And the taxi driver doesn't seem that friendly at all. He's not very helpful, friendly. And you see her in the car and the taxi going to the academy, and all around it's just like a storm, you know. You could almost imagine the three witches in Macbeth there, you know, doing their spells and all this going on around. It's just, the whole atmosphere is great. And then, of course, when we get to the scene where they won't let her in to the into the academy building, and then this girl comes out all distressed and in a right state, and then we see her go off, and then, of course, we see again from the taxi her running and running. Straight away, you know, hey, there's something not right here. There's not right here, I'll tell you. There's not right. And then when we go to the next day and we actually get inside the academy and meet all the characters, you're thinking to yourself, hey, by heck, I wouldn't like to get stuck in a lift with these people, I'll tell you. Oh, yeah, they're all this weird kind of set of characters who, you know, there's some not quite right. There's not quite right going on here. But, you know, it builds that tension. You know, when you know you're in a really good horror film, you kind of enjoying all that sort of tension. You know what's going to happen. And also, of course, we see the first murder quite early on. You know, it's quite a brutal, graphic slasher film murder. We see two of them, in fact. So it's all good stuff, as they say. You know what's to come. And say the whole atmosphere is just beautiful, the way it is put together. I look at it and think, wow, it's so great. And say on this 4K version, also the sound comes across really well as well. The soundtrack from Argento's favourites, Goblin, and as it happens, this is the soundtrack from the film. Absolutely love this as well. I love the music so much, I just had to go and get the soundtrack. Great CD, this. Anyhow, so what you have is everything on this just brings it all together. And if you're going to watch Suspiria, this is the way to watch it. This, I noticed, is an American release, because again, you haven't got the classification certificate on here. But I'll tell you, it's worth getting. It may cost a bob or two more, but I'm sure you can get hold of it. It really is worth it. I mean, this whole film is just, it's, you know, I'm lost for words sometimes, you know. I'm just so enthusiastic about it. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I see it all these years ago? Why? But look, on the best side, I can see it now in the best way possible. In the best way possible. And that has to be a good thing. But it's interesting because at the time when it was released, 20th Century Fox released it in America. Apparently there was 8 minutes of cuts as well in it. It wasn't really that well received. There's quite mixed reviews about it. It's now only in retrospect that people have suddenly sort of think, hey, hold on a minute, this film, there's a lot more to it. And there is a lot more to it. It really makes you watch the film in a way that you think, I'm watching something pretty special. You know, I remember like when I first watched The Exorcist, again, you knew you was watching something pretty special. And that is the same with this. It's it just stands out. The whole direction. I mean, I love, again, this director. He's made a lot of really great films, and he has a certain style. And this style works so well. It's like it's all come together really well on this particular film. And I think now the recognition is there totally. He knows what he wants, and he gets it done so beautifully in this film. There was a sort of 2018, I wouldn't say remake, I'd say it's more based upon, and that is actually very good as well. Obviously comparing with this is quite difficult, but in its own right, the American 2018 version is actually, I think, quite underrated. It really is quite good, but I suppose this obviously overshadows everything. I mean, there will be people who probably think, well, what's all the fuss about? Like I think with certain films, I think, what's all the fuss about? And that's just individual choice. But when you get something like this and you have a passion for certain horror films and this comes along, then you can't help but be excited by it. And I just watch it and think, wow, this is good. I mean, that in a way is why I got the soundtrack, because it excited me so much. I thought, well, I just have to get the soundtrack, and there we are. And Goblin, what can I say? It just works so well. In fact, I bought more of their albums from this, because they've done such a lot of really great work. So everything from this film, to me, is all good. And obviously, I think this film influenced a lot of other people. It must have done. Directors watching this, seeing this, and thought, well, they'd love to emulate the whole, like with Hitchcock and people like that, where it was such an influence. Then I think this is the influence, definitely, on a lot of directors. Probably Scorsese, I bet, would be. Yeah. Some of what I call those kind of directors. But you never know, he might actually said it, they did like this. But you can imagine, no. Because I still think, and this is true, that sometimes there's like in literature, horror and science fiction are sometimes not deemed, the intellectuals don't think they back. But anyhow, I'm going on a bit too much here. All I can say is that this film, if you haven't seen it, I don't believe it. Most people, I'm sure, have seen it. I hope. Anyhow, but if you haven't, get watching it. Get watching it. Anyhow, so that's it really. All I've got to say is, if you like me rambling on like this, just subscribe if you haven't, and give it a like. Give it a like. And all I've got to say is, I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.